All right, today we're going to lay out the entire roadmap for Web3. And look, this isn't just about some new tech fad. This is about understanding how the next generation of the internet is literally being built brick by brick. So here's our game plan. First, we'll tackle the big idea, the ownership economy. Then we'll look under the hood at the engine that runs it all, which I like to call the digital vending machine. After that, we'll explore the two main paths you can take as a developer, learn the language of digital assets, take a peek at the wild frontier, and wrap up with what is, without a doubt, the most important piece of the puzzle, the unbreakable promise. So let's start with the big question. What even is Web3? Well, think of it as a massive, fundamental shift. We're moving from an internet where we're just creating content for giant platforms to a new world where we, the users, actually own our digital stuff. It's a move from a web of information to a web of ownership.
And this chart really tells the whole story, doesn't it? Web 1 was the Stone Age, the read-only internet. We were just consumers. Then Web 2 came along, the read-write web, and boom, we all became creators on social media. But Web 3, that's the game changer. It's the ownership economy. And because of blockchain, your role changes from just being a creator to being an actual owner. You don't just post the picture, you own the picture.
Okay, so this whole ownership thing sounds great, but how does it actually work? Well, it's all powered by this special logic layer that sets the rules for this new internet. The best way to think about it is like a digital vending machine that powers the whole web. It's the engine that makes everything possible.
At the very heart of that machine are things called smart contracts. Just think of them as little bits of code that live on the blockchain. They're just sets of instructions that run all by themselves when certain rules are met. No bank, no company, no middleman needed. They just work.
And this is where that vending machine analogy really clicks. It's a super simple but powerful if this, then that logic. If you put your money in, that's the condition, then the machine gives you a drink, that's the action. Smart contracts do the exact same thing, but for digital assets, and this creates what we call trust-minimized agreements. All that means is you don't have to trust some company's word, you just have to trust the code.
Okay, so now that we've got the what and the how down, let's get into the practical side of things. If you're looking to actually build in this space, you've got a pretty big choice to make. How do you, personally, want to build the future? And that brings us to this really important question for anyone wanting to jump in. You're the architect here. Are you the kind of person who wants to lay every single brick by hand? Or are you the one who'd rather use advanced toolkits to build a skyscraper, way faster? Which one are you?
So here's how those two paths really look. On one side, you've got the deep dive. This is for total control. You're getting your hands dirty with tools like Hardhat, writing code from scratch in a language called Solidity, and talking directly to the blockchain. Then on the other side, you've got the full stack fast track. This is all about speed, right? Using a framework like thirdweb to launch pre-built super secure contracts and make your life way, way easier.
And really, it all boils down to this one trade-off. Do you want absolute granular control over every little detail? Or do you want the speed to get your idea out into the world as fast as humanly possible? That choice is going to define your entire journey as a developer in this space.
Now, here's the cool part. No matter which path you take, you're going to be playing with the same fundamental building blocks. These are called token standards, and they're basically the blueprints for every single digital asset you're ever going to create.
And for the most part, you're going to run into these three big ones. You've got your ERC20, which is for things that are interchangeable, like a currency. Then you've got ERC721, which is for totally unique, one-of-a-kind things. Yep, that's an NFT. And then there's ERC1155, which is kind of a flexible combo of the two, perfect for something like video game items. So first up, the ERC20. It's fungible. That's just a fancy word that means interchangeable. My dollar bill is worth the exact same as your dollar bill. We can swap them, no problem. This makes it the perfect blueprint for building any kind of digital currency or maybe even reward points in an app. And an ERC721, or what we all call an NFT, is the complete opposite. It's non-fungible, which means it is absolutely unique, one of a kind. My concert ticket for the front row is not the same as your ticket for the nosebleeds. Each one is totally, verifiably different. Okay, so once you've really mastered the basics, smart contracts, token standards, a whole new world opens up. And this is where things get really wild. We're talking about the frontier with some of the most advanced applications you can imagine.
We're talking about massive ecosystems like DeFi or decentralized finance, where you have things like borrowing and lending happening completely automatically through code. Then you have DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. These are basically internet communities that are run by rules written on the blockchain. And you even have these incredible data tools like the graph that make sense of all the information zipping around.
And that brings us to our final stop on the roadmap. And I'm going to be honest, this is without a doubt the most important step. Because with all this power to create new financial systems from scratch, well, with great power comes great responsibility. We have to talk about security.
You need to burn this into your brain. When you put a smart contract out there, its code is, for all intents and purposes, permanent. It's an unbreakable promise, which is incredible when it works perfectly, but it's a complete catastrophe if you've made a mistake. That's why auditing your code, having experts check it, isn't just a good idea, it is non-negotiable.
You've got to be on the lookout for common attacks. For instance, a reentrancy attack is kind of like a hacker tricking a vending machine into spitting out all the sodas after only paying once. Or oracle manipulation, where someone feeds your contract bad information from the outside world to fool it. The good news is, we have professional-grade tools for this. Things like Slither will scan your code for known problems, and tools like Akina will just throw millions of random scenarios at it to try and break it before a real attacker gets the chance. And there it is, the master's roadmap. We've gone from the huge vision of an ownership economy all the way down to the nitty-gritty tools you need to keep your code safe. You literally have the blueprints to architect the future. So the only question left is, what are you going to build?